Censorious judgments to be avoided. We must not, then, remove those who have been excommunicated from the ranks of the elect, or despair of them as if they were already lost. It is certainly proper to regard them as strangers to the Church according to the rule outlined above, but that should be only for as long as they remain separated. And even though we may discern in them more signs of pride and obstinacy than of humility, we should still commit them to God's hand and commend them to His goodness, hoping for better things in the future than we presently see. To put the matter more succinctly, we must not condemn individuals to eternal death, for they are in the hand of God alone. We ought instead to weigh each one's works according to God's law. If we follow this rule, we will stick closer to the judgment which God has taught us rather than flaunt our own. We should not try to be too free in our judgments, unless we mean to limit God's power and to make our thoughts the measure of His mercy, by which, whenever it seems good to Him, the most evil are turned into upright men, and the estranged are received into the Church. In this way, men's opinions are frustrated, and their presumption held in check, which, if uncorrected, always credits itself with more than it should. Although Christ declared that what ministers of His Church bind or loose on earth will be bound or loosed in heaven, it does not follow that we are able to discern who is of His Church and who is not. As this promise is repeated twice, its meaning each time is different. In the first passage, the Lord is not trying to provide a visible mark which openly designates those who are bound or loosed. He is simply explaining that those who on earth, that is, in this life, have by faith received the gospel teaching through which Christ is offered to us for redemption and deliverance, will be truly loosed and absolved in heaven. In other words, before God on His heavenly throne. On the other hand, those who have scorned and rejected it will, in this life, have sure witness to the fact that they will remain bound in heaven and before God, and will be confined even more tightly. In the second passage, which mentions excommunication, the power to bind and loose is entrusted to the Church's censure, by which those who have been excommunicated are not consigned to everlasting destruction and despair, but are warned that, their manner of life having been condemned, eternal condemnation awaits them if they do not repent. This is what distinguishes excommunication from execration, which Church teachers call anathema. In anathematizing someone, all hope of forgiveness is withdrawn and he is abandoned to the devil. In excommunicating him, it is rather his moral behavior which is punished. And although his person too is punished, it is done in such a way that by warning him of his future condemnation, he may be brought back to the path of salvation. If he obeys, the Church stands ready to welcome him in friendship and to allow him to share in its fellowship. Therefore, although it is not permitted, if we would duly observe Church discipline, to be on close or friendly terms with the excommunicated, we must nevertheless strive so far as we can, whether by exhortation and teaching, by kindness and gentleness, or by our prayers to God, to see that they return to the right path, and that having returned they resume fellowship with the Church. For thus the Apostle teaches, do not regard them as enemies, but rebuke them as brothers. Also, he demands similar mildness throughout the whole Church when it comes to welcoming those who show some evidence of improvement. He does not wish the Church to exercise too strict a severity, to go to harsh extremes, or to appear implacable. It should instead take the initiative and willingly offer to receive them, so that they are not overcome by too heavy a load of grief. Unless this restraint is carefully observed, we risk descending from discipline to a kind of torture and becoming not chastisers, but executioners.